It says I'm live, so I guess we are. And we're live. Hello, everyone. I know you just saw something rather peculiar at the start. I do apologise. I was sorting out,
It's
things.
fucking outside.
Well, you're on time. How you doing, mate?
Tried. You know,
I was literally just
rain
gonna.
suddenly.
I was just gonna respond to PMQs because I didn't know where you were. How are you today? Actually, no. Before we do that, welcome everyone to Political Recap Stream. Joining me is Trups LP. Say hello, Trups.
Hello, Trups LP.
How is Trups?
I certainly hope that little outburst got in.
It did because I just hit start.
Woohoo!
I still don't know what you said.
I said, Captain, it's fucking wet outside.
Oh, right, that's what you said. Right. So what's been going on? Oh, I should probably switch to this scene then, since you're here.
Yeah. So yeah, it's fucking wet. I've been doing work.
Right.
A lot of shit. I was able to get a video out yesterday. That made me happy.
I didn't see that in my sub feed. I'll have to watch it after the stream. That could be good. That'd be a nice,
Indeed.
nice little bit of bedtime viewing. Hello, Peter, Edwards, Cyrene, Orla, Lulu, Faith, MC, Jake, Karma, Linda. Hope you're all having a cracking day. Zoom out, Meg, as I have done that now. Thank you for the backseat stream hosting. I appreciate that. So what's been going on in America?
Oh, okay. So let me tell you what's going on in America. One of the more interesting things. So Trump has a rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and many have warned Mr. Trump that this could exacerbate existing coronavirus spikes, and they have encouraged Mr. Trump to avoid these rallies for fear of spreading the coronavirus.
Well, of course. And has it stopped him?
Absolutely not.
I don't know what the current R rate is in Oklahoma, so do you?
Well, you know, I do not, but I do know that many places, large cities across the country, have seen a uptick in coronavirus. Now, I'm not an epidemiologist, but I think I could come up with a pattern.
Are you about to tie it to the
Would you like to know where my pattern goes?
Protest, isn't it?
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah, I was about actually
something. A whole bunch of people.
Have you seen the thumbnail?
Space.
Have you seen the thumbnail I went with?
Oh no, I have not. Let me look.
No, I'll go and get it for you. I'll put it in our sources. You'll love it, because it's actually the video that Fane tweeted.
Okay, so I don't know the context of this picture at all.
No, I've watched. Okay, so I put the. Oh no, it's in. I put it in shit. Oh, God's sake! I clicked our sources and it went there instead. If you look at our sources, there's a. So Fane tweeted out a video, and that's your context. Although I would argue it's not enough context. But I do understand some points, and many people have argued about it regardless, which is quite amusing to me.
Okay, I just watched the 11-second video,
Yeah.
and okay, here's the thing.
Go
you
on.
know,
Do you want to explain what the video was first,
you
please?
Yeah. Okay, so let me explain. The 11 seconds. It is of a Jeep that is driving along in the middle lane of what appears to be a 3 to 4 lane road, and in the center of the road is a person holding up a sign. Likely some sort of protest, I'm sure. Now this Jeep is special. It is a blue. It looks like a fucking Jeep Wrangler, but it's probably a more updated version of it. Open, no doors, no windows, probably a windshield. But it's got an American flag and a Trump 2020 flag. attached to the back. Now, the car does stop for a moment as this intruder is in the middle of the road, and then they decide, after the sign-wielding protester, oh, hey.
That was loud.
Yes. I didn't lie when I told you it was wet outside. The sign-wielding protester assaults the hood of their car. Now, I would recommend a better weapon than cardboard or poster board against a metal hood, but this person decided to play their odds. The car won as it began to drive through said person, and then proceeded to drive away.
Yeah, because then you saw the crowd attempt to make a move very quickly on them.
And they realized that without doors, they were kind of fucked.
Yeah. So what's your opinion of people protesting in... There was quite a roar. People protesting in the middle of the road. Especially when they're throwing stuff as well at... Because obviously it's a clear political difference. There was... And even it's 11 seconds, you can see they're targeting that vehicle. So what is your view on that?
So I think that if you're going to protest, one of the worst but most obvious places to protest is in the middle of the road. I say it's one of the best in the sense that it is the best optics. You will most definitely get people to notice you. And I call it the worst because that's where cars go vroom. I don't know if you want to stand in front of them. I wouldn't.
I personally
Cars go vroom, and human bodies don't take very well to that.
Well, I'll be honest, I think I proved a point earlier in a video today that a man could take a bus hit if it hit him the right angle. But yes, your point is correct, regardless. So I've seen a lot of arguments on this. Fane tweeted it out, and his position is there's no justification to hit the person in the road. That's pretty much it. You can look at the Twitter thread. There are many retweets with him getting quite aggressive at others. Like, don't hit people with your goddamn car. People responding, don't block the traffic.
Yes, don't hit people with your car. But also, there's like this lovely little white line. It's actually two parallel white lines. Sometimes it's got some crisscrossies in them. And that's to indicate... to drivers that people walk through that. You see, those aren't where that person is. So I could understand why the car may be confused as to why there is a person standing in the middle of the fucking road.
So I've had these discussions more recently with people, actually today when I was walking, because somebody had parked, but when they'd parked halfway between the road and the path, so I couldn't use the path and I had to use the road. I therefore had to go around their car, but they were just stood outside talking. So I decided instead to engage them in conversation and say, I don't know if you've noticed, but your car appears to be confused. It can't tell if it's a human and wants to walk on the path, in which case it might be an idea that it doesn't jaywalk, or whether it's a car, in which case you failed to park because you just stopped in the middle of the pathway and decided, I'm going to fuck off now. Could you move your car? Now, it's possible that the people in this video don't quite understand what right-of-way is. We do not have right-of-way when walking in a road. I'm not justifying, by the way, them hitting the person. I'm really not. I'm just pointing out the obvious here. You shouldn't be in the road in the first place. You just shouldn't. It's that simple. And people really should stop parking on paths because it's starting to piss me off.
Honestly, it's actually for the protesters' own safety. Don't go in the road if you don't want a car to potentially hit. I understand you think that you are morally and I guess physically superior in this case. I promise you, a V6 engine will prove you wrong. I say V6 because I don't know if that thing has a V8 or not.
Yeah, I should say also, because the video clip is short, you can definitely attribute this to, you know damn well with I'd say adrenaline being a bit high. You don't know. You only have a split-second chance to make a decision with what to do, because all you're doing is you're going to sit there and take shit from two idiots that are throwing drinks at you, and you don't know what could happen next, so you want to get out of there. And so you put your foot down, which isn't a justification, it's just what happens.
Well, and even worse yet, you know, it's not... Actually, it's been covered quite a bit. People have been pulled out of their cars and beaten within an inch of their lives in the last 2 weeks. Why the fuck would anyone think that, I see protests have gathered. Let me slow down. I know damn well I have a Trump flag hanging out the back of my car, but I'm sure it'll be fine.
Some people have said
And,
that
you know,
this is attempted murder or attempted manslaughter and all this. I tend to disagree.
aggravated assault, maybe.
Yeah, I think maybe aggravated assault, but not... No. If those people were smart, they wouldn't have instead tried to chase the vehicle. They would have instead tried to take a picture of the registration plate. Then again, I'm sure that car's fairly distinctive anyway. And no doubt they'll end up getting questioned by somebody anyway. So it's not... It's not... It's not...
Yeah, and,
it's not
you know,
attempted.
unfortunately, honestly, you could argue that because they struck their vehicle, they're good.
With what do you think was the people have been pulled out? Yes, so yeah, MC in the chat points out this is basically what you said. Yeah, that's correct. I don't know where I stand on this because I don't like the idea of you block. You shouldn't be in the road in the first place. If you're in the UK, it's happened, and people, they're not allowed to do it. They get arrested. It's as simple as that.
Yes. Just don't do it, guys. If you want to protest, but don't be stupid about it. I'm all for it.
Go on.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, as powerful as your message may appear now that somebody's done that to you, and that means Trump man bad, actually to the majority of people who have an IQ over 1, so anyone that wasn't getting hit by a car, that's not how we see it. We see it as some dickheads in the middle of the road.
I just need people to realize that I'm for protests.
Yeah,
I'm
course
down.
It's in your constitution. You're allowed to.
Well, of course it is. But and honestly, there are certain cases where even protesting in the middle of the road have been effective. There's a lovely, famous photo of Martin Luther King walking down a bridge with like an entire crowd of people. But usually, you're more than one person. You know, resistance and all that. Car can't go very far if it has to go through multiple people.
I saw a few videos of other people getting hit. Just massive groups of people blocking any possible avenue for someone to get by, and then assaulting the vehicle before it. Obviously, they then just decided to screw it and plowing through you. It really should. I mean, you really should think a bit more carefully here. If you're going to protest...
And MC says that was a scheduled march. You are quite right.
Yeah. If you're going to protest, just don't go in the road. How about that? Yeah. Are we okay with that? Just let the cars go. It doesn't matter. You don't need to start a fight. And I'm not justifying them hitting you. I'm just saying, just don't be in the road. It doesn't make you look... It doesn't empower you. You can, that's fine. I don't mind in the slightest, really. In fact, if you say it, I don't have to say it. Okay, do you know what I mean?
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes?
Well, it's quite a game to play. I don't know who the winner is.
Well, you know, it's kind of like gambling. Everyone loses in the end.
Yeah. It's kind of tragic.
Fun fact, the further in the road you are, the more likely you are to get hit. Yeah, true that. And it wasn't like this person even, like, decided to, like, pick the side or anything like that. You could be a hindrance without being this much of a dickhead.
So, that's actually a really good point. The further in the road you are, the more likely you are to get hit. Now we take that, because this is my view actually, oddly, for those who park their cars and obscure most of what you call a sidewalk. If you do that, I do this in front of the people doing it, I start kicking their car. I don't mean a light kick. I mean a full-on boot. And when they say, "What are you doing?" I say, "You're obstructing my path." Simple as that. Get your fucking car and put it in a car park bay. You cunt. There's a guy who's just moved in around the corner, and he'd been doing it for about a month. So in front of him, in front of his kids, I just went up to his car and booted it in the door and said, "You're going to move your car now, aren't you?" God, I can't be arsed with that. And yes, I'm admitting criminal damage, but it's fine because I padded it out afterwards. All you have to do as I said. You don't block paths, you don't go in road. It's just stick to your lane. How about that? Am I asking too much? Trups?
Sorry, had to mute myself for the incoming explosion sounds from the sky.
Mate, you can have those explosions. I don't mind.
Oh, okay, because it's gonna happen like every time I turn on the mic.
I didn't care about the first one. I've got no issues hearing that. You're all good.
Well, it's gotten a little bit worse, but that's just because, you know, living in a coastal area, that kind of happens.
Yes, I'm very much aware of that.
Yes. So, oh, I do want to get back to this Tulsa rally thing, by the way.
Oh yeah, please. I actually do want to talk about that. To be honest, more interesting than this video.
So Trump is having this rally in Tulsa, and people are trying to have him shut it down in every way possible. I mean, health directors are coming out telling him, no, you can't do it. It's going to spread COVID. The Trump campaign comes back and says, hey, by the way, we're actually temperature checking everybody at the door and actually giving out Trump masks. So we're good, actually.
That's actually awesome.
I thought so, too. And the thing is, you know damn well that the people who are going to attend are Trump supporters, right?
Yeah.
So why are they concerned? I seem to remember 2 or 3 months ago, leftists calling for every Trump supporter to get COVID and die. Do you remember that? I sent you a couple of the screen caps.
Oh, yeah! Jeez, that's what you sent me. I remember seeing that. Yes, sorry. I should probably pull up Facebook Messenger so I can read it again.
No, it's fine. It's just people are that nuts. And honestly, it's been on Twitter. It's everywhere.
Sadly, my Twitter's full of just like COVID and other bollocks, really. Mostly Dominic Raab related, because people still trigger that he won't take a knee.
Okay, so I'll get to the knee thing in a second. But I wanted to point out that Kayleigh McEnany, she's the White House press correspondent. She is absolutely a fucking savage, by the way. She comes with a binder every time she does these press conferences. And when she gets asked a stupid question that she knows is literally a setup question for them to get a soundbite, she'll literally flip open the binder and read off the receipts from news outlets saying the exact opposite thing. So in this more recent time, when she had a press conference, I think it was earlier in this week, when they were like, yes, we're having that rally. They were like, aren't you afraid that it's going to spread COVID? She holds up a picture of the New York Post that said like either blatant hypocrisy or real hypocrisy, something like that, because it basically shows a picture of the protests, and she basically says, oh, you mean like this didn't help cause COVID? But you guys, didn't care? But, that's fine. That's fine. And she'll, like, the fact that she actually brought in the physical paper this time is really fucking great. But in the past, she has literally read off headlines in the past of them saying the exact opposite thing. The worst one, I think, the biggest smackdown, was the COVID headlines when it was just starting out, where every left-wing publication was basically saying that, oh, it's no worse than the flu, it's not that bad, blah, 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 and she just read off every fucking headline. Oh my god, she's amazing.
Yeah. I don't know much about this person, so I'm actually kind of interested.
Magog has done a couple of videos on her, actually.
Has he?
Yeah,
I didn't realize
I
he
think he
still
did. I
recorded.
think he did one off the situation I had just mentioned. So I think you'll enjoy
Ah,
that. I think it's like a 3 or 4 minute video. It's funny.
I'll be sure to give it a watch.
Hmm. But no, I hate it because I'm just watching the media absolutely blatantly just say, no, this is completely political, and we have no qualms about it. Lulu Bell, nice Skyrim reference. Which one? What did I say?
I couldn't say because I was listening, and
I don't know.
I'm rubbish when it comes to references. It all mentions that a reference is cropped up. I instantly go blank.
I stopped paying attention to the things I'm saying because I know that I have to keep thinking of the next thing I'm saying.
Right. Yeah, I kind of get
But
that.
yeah. So what's been going on in your country?
Well, we could start with Sadiq Khan. He has said he will take a 10% pay cut, and has urged other politicians to do the same to bail out bankrupt councils. So there are a number of councils in the United Kingdom that have gone bankrupt or are going bankrupt because they fudged their own paperwork, they mucked up their expenses, and yeah, they made it very difficult for themselves. Um, the other so this would be for him more than £15,000. His way of his own little way of introducing austerity to balance London's books after coronavirus. So this is more of anyone who earns for him a six-figure salary lose a mere 10%. Even though there aren't many people earning that much that can afford to live in London, to then try and offset all the spending that has happened, the loans and the bailouts, to deal with what will then be a budget deficit for a while. So this would be the cost would cover things like public health response, local authorities, tax bills, council tax, obviously, business rates that would be a shortfall in because of being shut for so long. And he thinks that it's so because London did the right thing to tackle coronavirus by following the rules, the government is punishing them with a new era of austerity, even though the government hasn't published a budget yet. They haven't done that. So they're not introduced. They refuse to use the word austerity outright. And are they Labour? Well, a lot of the councils in London, there are a number that are Labour, yes. There are a lot of Conservative strongholds, though. And those Conservative strongholds are around Westminster and the incredibly wealthy areas. But the populations aren't...
Weird.
Yeah, right. It's not like the populations are monstrous here. They're really in those very wealthy areas. So his idea for a 10% pay cut doesn't really do anything. Monthly, we're spending what was it 14? Was it 14 billion a month? Or was it to pay all these salaries from furlough schemes? Or was it a 14 billion over a 3-month period? It's a really high number, regardless. And I don't think this 10% pay cut is going to do shit. I'll be honest. That 10% pay cut he'll probably make back from expenses. Because if anyone is abusing expenses, it's going to be the guy who gets chauffeured around. And he's obviously he's been justifying this point by talking about Transport for London's income dropping by more than 90%, and that ministers now need to act because things like the fire brigade are desperately needed. And then he's used to make the point, the Grenfell Tower incident tragedy, let's call it that, which is not comparable. You can't really say they're needed because of that, because that happened 3 years ago. You're just bringing it up to make a point that we need them now, but the fire issue isn't actually as huge a problem as it was then. And that wasn't, even though people still blame the government for it, it's still not the government's fault. It's genuinely the company that cut the corners, who was supposed to be able to approve of it? Did you need an MP on site just to assure or be certain that everything was correct? And for the sake of transparency, Sadiq Khan's full salary before expenses, which will be a huge amount anyway. Oh, hang on. Thank you, the like button, for the £3 donation. Show me some love. It's very generous of you. His salary is £152,734, which is a decent salary for a bum, for a guy who is known predominantly for spending too much. That's nice. So he'll lose 15 grand, even though it's election season for him at the moment. So there's no real guarantee in the first place that he'll have a job at the end of the year anyway. And one can certainly hope not. He's also decided, though, because he's a benevolent overlord, to freeze the pay for senior appointments at City Hall. So he's basically then decided, while I'm urging everyone else to take a pay cut, I'm going to act on behalf of everyone else by ensuring they also can't earn any more money by stopping them. That's classy. That's classy. So the election was meant to happen, for those who don't know, for the mayor in May. But sadly, polls do suggest he'll win anyway. But it's okay. He only gets 2 terms. And afterwards, I'm sure Labour will select somebody because cultural fabric enrichment and I can't think of any other.
And cosmopolitan bias, I think is the word.
Sure, it's that constant shoving in face of diversity when London's population is quite heavily mixed. Yes, but you don't need to keep repeating it. Just pick the best person. And by that, it means somebody who qualifies as the most oppressed. I'm sure the next one on the face will be Fiona Onasanya, the convicted Labour MP who thought Cocoa Pops was racist. Ah, you're a genius.
What is a Cocoa Pop?
Cocoa Pops is a chocolate.
Like Cocoa Pops?
Rice Krispies, but chocolate.
Ah, okay.
Then a monkey on the have a monkey on the box. But the thing is, they use animals.
We had one like that. It was called Cocoa Puffs here, and it was a
they
bird that had a suspicious cocaine addiction.
Nice. In the UK, these ads have been running for decades with the monkey and other zoo animals on other cereals. And her comparison was, but what about the 3 white boys on the Rice Krispies? But that wasn't 3 white boys; it was 3 elves. But sure, formerly superheroes. I just can't be asked. In other news in the UK, we have there was a what was it called? Like a chart released, and this what was it? But the who did it? Countries. Oh, hang on. For you, the weatherman donated $5. Rain, calm yourself. There you go.
Ah, yes, thank you very much. I will inform the rain at my nearest convenience.
That's very kind.
Rain, the weatherman says fuck off.
That works.
I've informed them.
There is a global league table, because apparently this kind of pissing contest needs to exist, that determines and compares how countries have tackled coronavirus. The UK is on par with Italy, Spain and Sweden, and is only beaten by Belgium, in who has handled it the worst. That's not a joke either, by the way. Legitimately, UK is joint second worst, but we're tied with Italy and Spain because we just couldn't get it over the edge in our response. Now, the argument is made that it's because even though we had the time to prepare, we lacked the testing capacity, and of course we abandoned contact tracing in March. That's the excuses they've given for scoring us so low, even though at the time we were not affected as much as other nations, therefore we didn't need to act as quickly, and then it just hit in the cities mostly. The travel rules are utter nonsense. Am I assuming this has something to do with your better half? Since I know
Me?
she's no Skog in the chat.
Scoggin asked.
She's his partner, I believe, is in the UK now, unless something has changed I don't know about.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry that she gave up freedom.
Indeed. Schrodinger's Texan. Hey! So, the Economist Intelligence Unit created the index that assesses the quality of responses across more than half of the 37 OECD member nations. I don't know what OECD stands for. I've forgotten.
Me either.
Yeah, that's really irritating.
Um.
I'll go and get it.
Okay.
OECD.
Hot in chat.
Oh,
He's
Organization
looking
for
up
Economic
acronyms.
Cooperation and Development. Thank you. Yeah,
Yes, of course. I should.
that was nice.
This guy has responded to my previous comment. It says it will come back in 2 to 5 business days.
It said donate to Streamlabs for more updates.
Yes, the thunder has willed it.
Yeah, the countries that scored the best were New Zealand, top, Germany, Austria, or just Germany, Norway, Israel, Iceland, Denmark, and Australia. Portugal's up there too, but it's very close to the US. US is right in the middle, listed as good, which is it's interesting. And the way they calculated this is the tests per million people, number of cancer-related surgeries cancelled, excess of deaths per million. Nations been given scores for 3 coronavirus risk factors: obesity prevalence, and percentage of those over 65s, and the final risk factor related to international arrivals based on the number of people who travel to the country as a share of the population. And then each country gets an average score with excess deaths given the biggest weighting because it was deemed the most important mark. So the UK, we scored 17 on the 6 factors, but because of excess deaths, it was multiplied by a factor of 4. It equates to 20, giving it an average of 2.22, which is great. Austria is not Germany. Press X to doubt. So yeah, UK's response been deemed
the Germans agree with that entirely.
I'm just saying. So UK's been lumped in with Spain.
The Anschluss is coming.
What I find interesting, actually, is that the way they've done it is because of the death rate only. They've not really done it on anything else. So in reality, they've just gone with the 4 countries that have suffered the worst deaths. That don't include China, because China isn't on this at all. They're not on this this chart at all, because we can't test China, because China lied and people died. I mean, sorry. China, they did everything they could, and they're great and amazeballs.
How dare you go against the WHO? Not the WHO, the band, but the WHO, the Chinese, World Health Organization.
I thought you were about to say the Yakuza or the Hood.
Oh, no.
The Hood,
but,
in its swag.
Yeah, yes, in it, swag. So I do have one other thing from America that we can talk to, and it kind of touches upon the diversity thing that you were mentioning when talking about London and the labor areas. So I don't know if you have had this issue in London. Oh, before I get into that, rip Sir Ian Holmes, also known as Bilbo
Oh yeah,
Baggins.
F for Bilbo, man. F for Bilbo. I've been asked to do a video on that, and all I want to do is just put it in a little bit and say F for Bilbo. He got to the land of the undying and then ironically passed away.
Indeed, that's, it happens. I think that actually does happen to some people. In that book.
It does, yeah. I know. I'm just being a dick.
What's it called? So yeah, in the UK. Have you guys been noticing a push to remove ethnic or otherwise POC imagery from products like foodstuffs or?
Yes. So I actually have a source already for one for next. I was going to do it for next week's Exhibition of Stupid People, but I've got the source. Let me go and get it. It is a food source. Uncle Ben's, the rice company. They are changing their iconography on their rice. It's iconic because of the visual identity of a black rice farmer featuring on the packet. And their decision is to do this, to put an end to racial injustices. Apparently, I don't know if anyone else has thought this. Perhaps in the United Kingdom, black people as a whole are now the embodiment of Muhammad. You cannot depict them because it's racist. If that's racist, I've got a thumbnail for my content conspo on Deji, and I mean, it is the picture of a black guy. Is that going to be classed as racist? Because it's just a guy with eyes wide apart dribbling. Come on. But yes, there are companies doing this.
Yes, and I wanted to get your opinion on it because when I was growing up, I remember seeing an age of diversity. Now, when I say when I was growing up, I mean the 90s and the 2000s. In that case, for Americans, that means that I saw black people have their own TV shows on Disney Channel. I saw different ethnic minorities having their own cartoons centered around them.
Yeah.
I remember edgy content, and I remember everyone kind of getting along with it. My favorite ones to mention were Jackie Chan Adventures, The Adventures of Jake Long, American Dragon, The Proud Family. I mean, I don't want to mention the Boondocks, but the Boondocks.
I have no idea what any of that
That's
stuff
So
is.
Raven, Corey in the House. These were all shows that had great characters, regardless of the fact that they were a different color. When I was growing up, I actually thought that was pretty cool, and I didn't think much of it until I was then told to pay attention to it later.
Right.
So about when I turned, 17, 18, and I went to college, apparently this started becoming an issue. Actually, about 2015, when Gamergate started and SJW started to complain about everything. I started to notice that whatever they were saying was they were full of it. So in the same sense, I look at things like Aunt Jemima, Uncle Ben's, rice, the Eskimo pie. Oh yeah, like Fat Albert. That's very true. And honestly, actually, I'm gonna do a major throwback. Super Friends, the Wonder Twins were definitely not white. So we can go back there too. But what was I saying? I completely lost my train of thought. Oh yeah. So I remember seeing all these things, and I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think it was racist. I didn't think it was wrong. In fact, as I started paying attention to it, I was actually like, "Hey, look! It's normal to have black people on your branding, just like it's normal to have white people on your branding. Great! Sounds like America to me." But apparently, no, we're not allowed to do that. Which almost kind of sounds white supremacist-y. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get you.
Because it sounds a lot like we're erasing black identity from everyday, products. Does anyone else feel that?
That's kind of what I was thinking, and it's what I'm very apprehensive to say it, because then there's the counter you'll get thrown at you is, yes, but in these depictions, it's, and then insert negative comment. I do want to quickly just address two bits. First of all, Anna Lavender, but apparently Uncle is degraded because black men were called that instead of Sir. That's really interesting, because I remember hearing about this. Jay-Z named one of his sons, or his son, Sir. A twin, actually, with a sister, who may well have children herself one day, which would make him Uncle Sir. Oh, that kid's gonna grow up and get bullied.
That seems confusing.
Yeah. And when you mentioned growing up in the 90s and all that, and the diversity and all that, wasn't a thing where I grew up. It really wasn't. People were too busy working. They didn't give a fuck. If someone said to them, no one ever said, "Oh, you need diversity here," or "We need more people of ethnic origin, backgrounds, and blah blah blah." No, it was just, "We go to work, you go home, watch a bit of TV, and go to bed." That was it.
I mean that's fair.
There was no internet. It's just
by the time you were like growing up, though, it was still like, I think you're only like 10 years older than me, so you were actually, a preteen in the 90s, so into your teenage years. So, you would notice different things than what I did. I was in a different class of TV shows at that point. I was, younger, so different things.
The only time I ever saw anything that was race related, my French teacher, Mr. Magdinier, F for him, he rode this amazing motorcycle, and he rode it home one night, but he got very impatient behind this lorry, so he overtook it, and he hit a car on the other side. And the twin sons were at the school, and they're both Middle Eastern, and people just bullied them for being Middle Eastern, and blamed them for the loss of the teacher. That was it. That's the only time I ever saw anything like that, and I think most had their heads screwed on, stop them from getting attacked anyway, because it wasn't their fucking fault that French dickhead went and did that. That prick made me write.
Yeah.
That prick made me write "Je veux être honnête" about 1,000,000 times.
I don't know what that means.
I must be honest.
I don't speak surrender.
I must be honest.
Oh, okay.
Even though I wasn't lying in the first place, somebody else did something stupid and I got blamed for it. Pricks.
So, Ash brings up an interesting point in the chat. They want more representation, but any black representation is now bad, so all the characters on boxes and stuff can now only be animals or white. Or women, actually. They removed Brawny's man, the lumberjack man, and made it 3 women. And apparently people made jokes that said 3 women can do what 1 man can.
I would say the animal thing would probably work if you don't have a monkey on there, because apparently that is also a racial depiction. I want Cocoa Pops, but I'm having scones tomorrow instead. Oh well. What a tough time to be alive.
Did you see the black activist who claimed that he saw himself in Planet of the Apes?
Am I the only one that's immediately reminded of the Roxanne Barr thing? Thank you, Tiana, by the way, for the $5 sticker. That's very generous of you. Yeah, do you remember the Roxanne Barr thing where she compared the one of the ladies who used to work for Obama to one of the characters from Planet of the Apes? And weirdly, the first time I saw the picture side by side, the first thing I thought was, oh yeah.
I mean, here's the thing though. If any animal is going to have a likeness to human beings, it's going to be some sort of ape.
I've got a cousin.
At least when somebody calls you horse face, you can't put a horse next to their face and then go, you might have a point.
I've got an uncle that looks like a silverback. Silverback? Yeah. Gorilla.
Yeah.
I've got a cousin who looks like a fucking orangutan. Not because of race or anything, but because he's got fucking long arms and he's ginger.
Well, we used to make... I remember when we first saw Michael Phelps for the first time, we used to make fun of him for being a fucking ape because his arms are enormous.
Oh, I thought you were going to say
his wingspan is longer than his fucking height.
His intelligence was what I thought you were going with.
No, because I was young when he first won like a bunch of golds.
He won all the golds.
I was like
to be
14
fair.
or something like that.
That man won everything.
Everyone saw that and was like, "My God, he looks like a gorilla with those arms."
I like when people talk about who's the
great.
People do that thing of who's the greatest Olympian, and what they do is they have a picture of Usain Bolt usually because of what happened. Although he did get stiffed by one of his teammates in the last Olympic he competed in, and the meme always ends up with being a picture of Michael Phelps with like 20 odd gold medals. Am I a joke to you? It's a tough one to call.
Fucking long arms, and he's ginger. Yeah, thank you, Karina.
In the same sense of Michael Phelps having ridiculously long arms, Usain Bolt has insanely long legs.
He does.
And he can just
And I don't
coast it.
even know if that would be a racist stereotype. Because honestly, that sounds more like something that people would say of Hispanic women
I was about to say,
than
who
black men.
do you steal them from, really? Was it Jennifer Lopez?
Sure. That word. But no, I'm a little like disappointed because I thought a while back we did much better when we didn't have to put a focus on diversity. It just happened naturally.
Yes.
Do you remember? I don't know. Maybe the chat does, but there was also a show, Shaolin Showdown, and it was very, very, very racist in a sense. But no one considered it racist back then. It was just that the main character was an Asian stereotype, but he was also like 10.
Yeah. Can I just address something in the chat quickly again? Ash mentions, wait till they find out all the racist stuff in the Disney theme parks and movies. Interesting you mention that, because Sky in the United Kingdom has added a disclaimer to some movies they've deemed outdated, like Breakfast at Tiffany's, Flash Gordon, Aladdin, and The Jungle Book. But they've also included the remaked versions by adding those disclaimers to it.
I saw that all over Twitter, and even Shuon had posted. I don't know if you're blocked by her yet or not.
No, I'm not blocked by her. I don't talk to her.
But she posted a picture as well of Aladdin, made in 2019. This has racist stereotypes from an older time, and I was like, yeah, the older time of fucking last year.
Would you like the full list of movies that have been given a disclaimer? Because I've got them here. So you have,
sure, let's see if I recognize like half.
I've never seen this one. Breakfast at Tiffany's, the 1961 movie. Jungle Book, 1967 and 2016. Aladdin, 1992. The Goonies. Dumbo.
Okay, the Goonies, much like Lord of the Flies.
Kinda
racist.
Dumbo, accused of containing racist stereotypes of African Americans at the time in the form of black crows. Aliens, accused of high-tech racism and android apartheid.
What? What does that even mean?
Due to the way in which humans in the film deal with the presence of, air quotes, other, it has been suggested that the character Ripley treated them with fear and suspicion. I'll continue. Trading Places. A film littered with controversies, including Dan Aykroyd wearing blackface. Flash Gordon, because Ming the Merciless is played by Max von Sydow, is viewed as a classic example of yellow peril xenophobia. Next, Gone with the Wind, a film accused of romanticizing slavery and glossing over the horrors of slavery. Lawrence
it was literally made in the 30s.
1939. Lawrence of Arabia, made in the 60s, criticized for feeding on racial stereotypes and on Western beliefs that Arabs needed foreigners to guide them. Oh, this one's good.
I don't want to make a comment on that because I would need my fucking priest outfit.
This one I was expecting, and I love that it's here. Tropic Thunder, because Downey Jr. wearing blackface.
But it's the point. Oh my god.
And because of the use of the word retard uttered 17 times in the film.
Tell me Django Unchained isn't in there.
Next, the jazz singer from 1927. I know nothing about that, but blackface is in that. The Littlest Rebel, Shirley Temple movie from the 30s. A 2013 movie, The Lone Ranger, because of Johnny Depp portraying Tonto, a Native American.
Isn't Johnny Depp partially Native American?
I believe he is. Next, 2007, Balls of Fury, a ping-pong-based comedy.
Oh, come on, that's funny.
Because Christopher Walken was criticized for caricaturing Asian characters and carrying racist jokes in a running gag, making fun of blind people. And the last one I've got here, The Last Samurai. Because Tom Cruise's role as a captain hired to train the Japanese army to fight the rebellion is considered problematic by some for the sense of American superiority portrayed in the film.
Alright, so they missed a whole bunch of them that you could argue are also racist.
They might be on another list, but this is the list that I've got from the first article I find.
like, okay, you want to make the comment about Flash Gordon and about like antagonist Asians. Okay, Kill Bill.
That film's rubbish.
Anybody? I know, but that doesn't matter.
But I do get your
Also,
point.
black comedy, in the sense that it was so bad it was funny.
Yeah.
Black Dynamite.
Oh, God.
That is a fucking great movie because it's so terrible.
It's so bad. But yes, you're right.
But it's so fucking funny, and they made it a cartoon.
Honestly, there were other films I thought perhaps would feature on this. Django would have been a good one, to be honest. But then at the same time, you have Samuel L. Jackson and what's his name? Jamie Foxx. I think that's where they say,
Yeah.
oh, you can't now because they're in it. That's why they...
Well, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, we could... The thing is, if you want to look for racism, you can find racism.
Yes.
This
Shaft
was the
wasn't
same
on the list,
thing
no.
that... Shaft was not on it? Interesting.
No, it's not on this. It's not on this list. It might be on a more complete list. I don't know. I'll see if I can
You know
find
what?
one.
Actually, Star Wars, Star Trek, and actually almost any sci-fi film, you could argue is racist, or any fantasy film, because of how one literal race appears to hate at least one other race. You could argue that, and that's my point. If you want to find racism, you can. But at that point, how much of it is that you are observing something that is overtly racist, or is it that you are projecting your racist views onto this thing?
Mm-hmm.
I argue a lot of these people are, because of how much self-flagellating there is about being white and you should be ashamed, I think they're looking for racism in anything. It's been recently talked about on some channels about Magic the Gathering. They've been getting rid of quote unquote racist cards because they use terminology like give all white creatures +1/+1.
Yeah.
Or destroy all black
The
creatures.
fucking Wizards of the Coast trying to make orcs.
Yeah, Wizards of the Coast is so fucked.
Right.
But
Before we carry on, I have looked. I've only found one other list, and it's the same list but from a different site. So other movies and anything related to there's no reference to them yet, but they may well feature. Who knows? But it's I'm gonna have to, I may add that to my little list of do video on thing. We'll see.
What's the current definition of racism again? Can't keep up. That's okay because it's actually for those coders in the chat. It's actually recursive. It uses the word in its definition. You can't actually define racism anymore because it is an infinite loop.
Or, if in the right context, it's a tautology.
Yeah.
And we love tautologies. We love them so freaking much. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so what was it that I mentioned just a minute ago? Before we carried... Oh, God, it was that... I made a point and then we carried on with something else.
I don't know. You said something.
Yeah.
Do you want me to go look back at the thing?
Oh, orcs, Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah.
Shall we... I mean, I could talk about Jeremy Corbyn if you want, but I like the idea of talking about orcs, to be honest.
No, I like nerd culture better. It's more fun.
All right. Wizards
Not
of
to
the Coast.
say that your politics aren't riveting.
Nah, to be fair, I'll give everyone a 1 second rundown. Corbyn's toxic culture has been blamed for where they lost in 2019. A report has finally decided to say that. Done. Orcs.
The anti-Semite is bad? No way.
Right.
Okay.
So, Wizards of the Coast have decided to humanize orcs to an extent. Would you not agree?
That is what they said.
And how do they intend to do this? Not all orcs. Fuck you, Skog.
From what I understand, they're trying to make orcs and I believe drow as well have a extremely oh god, what is that word? diverse culture, much like the humans. They said.
I like that. Okay, so
Mokhtar Ogar.
I quite like how.
Thank you.
I mean, I like the savagery of orcs. That's one of the reasons I like them. I never think about race, to be honest. But one of the representations of orcs I really liked, a differing variety of them. Weirdly, I thought World of Warcraft handled it well, because they had the peaceful types and they had the war types, and it was great to see that. But,
I actually love World of Warcraft orcs.
Yeah, I do too. I liked Garadar. Okay, I just liked it there. It was nice. No one came.
Well, the fact that you had like, oh god, what the fuck's his name? He's the shaman.
Thrall.
Thank you. That character by itself is a great contrast to not Uther. Nope. I'm going through all of my fucking
Garrosh Hellscream.
Yeah, Garrosh.
Yeah, Garrosh is fucking amazing. I loved him.
Because all I'm thinking of is Hearthstone right now. So all I'm thinking
Don't worry,
is
mate.
Valyria versus Garrosh.
Don't worry, I know fuck all about Hearthstone, so I've got you.
Uther. Yeah. No, but I love how World of Warcraft has crafted their universe. It is diverse in the sense that it is a vast world that you could honestly just kind of center yourself in. But in that same vein, you could say the same thing about Tolkien, about Lovecraft, which I saw your video on today, of course. So
Thank you.
You know that was a thing.
Yeah.
And even Harry Potter. I mean, we could go into that, but sometimes there are literal creatures that an author must make in order to create a existential threat to the main characters.
Yes.
And sometimes, in order to make those less offensive or more scary by giving them special abilities and whatnot, they can't be human. I mean, let's be honest, a roving band of cannibals is scary, but if you imagine the Urukai as not only that, but enhanced versions of corrupted elves that are literally bred to kill and maim and then consume humans, yeah, that's a bit more concerning. It sounds better. Maybe it's just me. But just because you've created this race doesn't mean that because you people out there draw parallels to black people, it says less about us, the players, and much more about you out there who don't play it.
I like
because let's be honest, none of these fuckers play the game.
That's the majority, to be fair. One of the great things I like about all the different races you can play in D&D is that in and of itself is just diversity. That's all it is. And people think, yes, but their characteristics are somehow inherently human traits, and therefore we are assigning them to other humans of other races because of stereotypes. No, you've done that, and you are now racist. Congratulations. Yeah, and someone now will undoubtedly go with the origin story, and they'll go find it, and then they'll say, yes, pick at this point, and it still proves racism. No. Depictions in different franchises is not an indicator of racism. It's an indicator of a very popular trait within a race, and orcs are renowned.
Not only that.
Go on.
Well, it's not only just their origin story. I mean, there are plenty of people who draw upon Tolkien for their fantasies.
Yes.
Right? Their fantasy worlds. Tolkien was one of the pioneers of that era, and he himself had inspirations as well. Mm-hmm. But these creatures have these traits less because, or not because of racism, but because of a compelling story. I actually, while we were talking about it, I was thinking about Underworld. Have you ever seen that movie or that movie series?
With Celine?
Yeah.
I love Celine.
Do you remember the one where Marcus gets resurrected and
The second one, yes.
yeah, okay. So I seem to remember most of the vampires were white. Yeah?
They were, yes.
And the werewolves were actually black.
Mm-hmm.
At least one of the main leaders of the werewolves was black.
Yes.
Would you say that's a good depiction or a bad depiction?
I know bugger all about werewolves in the first place, so I couldn't tell you.
Well, I don't know much about Underworld in so much that I see a
Oh, hang on, actually, no,
black man.
hang on. Marcus went to get his brother, didn't he? He wasn't.
Well, Marcus was resurrected improperly. He wasn't the next one to be
No, it wasn't
resurrected.
Oh,
that
no,
was the whole like premise.
Hang on, was Marcus that was the first one, wasn't it? Or was Marcus the second? Because Marcus was the one who wasn't resurrected properly was in the first film. The second film.
Yeah, it was the first one then. Yeah.
Yeah. In the second film, wasn't it Marcus that got resurrected to go and get his brother?
Yes.
Yeah.
But the point was, the point that I'm getting at is, you depict a bunch of vampires, which are actually the bad guys,
yeah.
right, as white. But by doing so, the dichotomy in this movie is that they are fighting werewolves, which are beast men. And you made the leader a black man.
Yeah. And it was Victor in the
first. Is that a good depiction or a bad depiction?
It's an interesting one. It was Victor, by the way, in the first film.
Fuck, you're right.
Yeah, I only remembered because it was Bill Nye, wasn't it?
Thank you. Yes.
That was a good film.
Yeah.
That's a good film.
That was a good movie.
It was.
But no, but that's the curious part, because I immediately remembered that while we were sitting here. I'm like, is that racist or not?
Oh, and by Tiana, it's a tough one. It's a I don't want to be drawn in on it. Okay.
Yeah, because I mean they are the good guys, but they're animals in that movie. Literally, they are half animals.
I'll be honest, it gets worse in the third one.
That's even worse. That's worse.
Isn't it? Yeah, it's a fair point. In the third one, aren't they just like monsters at that point?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, you could go even deeper than that, because then you could go into more geek culture and talk about, oh god, Skyrim. You could talk about any number of fucking things where in trying to create a diverse cast, you have inadvertently placed this diverse cast into positions that could be considered racist. There's no winning. There was also a black vampire who came up with a silver nitrate. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's.
I'm now just thinking of Blade the whole time.
Didn't he get shot?
I think he did, yeah.
I think he died very quickly, actually. First black guy to die, I guess. Shocking, I know. European country, predominantly white. I know, crazy. By the way, while we're on the topic of diversity, real quick, I did some looking, and so you know how this is very tangential, and I apologize in the chat, but you know how Egypt is often a major point of contention amongst SJWs for their, the true image of Cleopatra or the true image of Tutankhamun, and they make like these black models dress in the garb of the time, and it looks like really good and all that shit. You ever seen that?
Yes.
Okay. So I found out something very interesting by looking through some history. Apparently, parts of Egypt were very, very racist.
Uh-huh.
They did not like the I think the translation roughly translated to barbarian of a certain skin tone
Oh god.
from the south. I can't use the word that they used because I don't know if it actually translates to that, but that was what I read, and it was from a priest's papyrus that basically explained that in fact Egypt had a very big nationalistic kind of feel, and they didn't like invaders, and they didn't like outsiders.
Oh jeez.
And they tended to categorize them because of their skin tones.
Yeah.
So I saw, and the only reason this came up in my brain was because I recently saw something about like all the images from the Bible of like the Pharaoh and Jesus and Moses and all these people as like dark black. I know Cleopatra was of Greek Macedonian heritage and probably was actually the whitest fucking leader they ever had, but I'm not, the but anyway, all of them were portrayed as like these dark black people, and all I could think of was then that papyrus that I was reading from, and I was like, damn, hard doubt any of this is true. Because even if he was even if Jesus did have a darker complexion, it would be closer to a Middle Eastern complexion, which is still pretty white. Tutankhamun was a racist. Yeah.
Didn't live long
He was
enough for
also
anyone to
young
give a damn,
and edgy.
though. He was gone too soon, everyone. Gone too soon.
Protest the museums. Yeah. Well, people are doing that anyway because it has Confederacy in it.
Oh. Can people protest ours because that's where we put all our good statues?
Yeah. Well, at least the ones that don't have cardboard around them.
Oh, scaffolding. Because that'll hold
Yeah.
them back. It's not like they can lift it.
But this is the world we live in right now, guys.
That is true. Is there anything you would like to discuss or shill before we finish?
So I had that video that I posted up yesterday. It was about Rayshard Brooks and Officer Garrett Rolfe, who is currently facing a felony murder charge, which in Georgia has the potential for a death sentence. So that's on my channel. Go check it out.
Link in the description down below. I have nothing to shill. I'm going to spend the weekend working on an Andy Warski video.
Fun.
But it might be a bit tricky. My youngest sister is staying here this weekend, and so that means all my sisters, all their children are here. So working on it's going to be tricky. Otherwise, not much going on, really. Thank you all for joining. Thank you for the donations. That was very generous of you. Yeah. See you later, folks. Say goodnight, Trups.
Good night, Trups.
Good night, Trups.